يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the program. Great to be with you. A reminder that you and I are together till 10 o'clock. On the show this morning, we'll be talking with Nikki Bush about her new book, Future-Proofing Your Child for the 2020s. We're also going to be hearing the Amalia Aspirations story, a young girl suffering, well, she's not young, she's just 2 years old. She suffers from Dandy Walker malformation. She'll be joining us with her mom and dad and possibly also her granddad to create awareness about this syndrome. But first up, someone who is furious at the media and the fashion world. She says that plus-sized women are not being catered for, and way back in the day she decided to take the bull by the horns and do something about it. My guest is Hayley Joy, and she talks about real sizes for real women in the real world. Hayley, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Julie. Morning.
You must have been very angry way back then. How did this start for you? Because when you were at school, you were slim, trim and sexy, I should imagine. And all your trouble started after you left school. What went wrong that you started piling on the weight and were very frustrated and lost all self-esteem?
Yeah, it was, I left school weighing 49 kilograms. I'd never had a weight problem. I was very active. I did a lot of swimming, a lot of walking, a lot of running for the bus every morning because I was always late for school. And I left school. I grew up in Rustenburg in a small town, and we didn't have a lot of takeaway or anything like that. Arrived in the big bright lights of Joburg, and suddenly there was takeaway, and I was in residence, there was a canteen, and I just started to eat badly, and I started putting on weight. Coupled with that, I'd had hormone problems, and I was on a pill that obviously didn't agree with my body, but at the time, nobody really picked that up. And I just piled on the weight. In a year and a half, I went from 49 kilos to 75 kilos.
Ooh.
And there was nothing available for a young 19-year-old girl who had put on all this weight. I was at design college at Wits Technikon, and I was designing, I was pattern making, and I started to clothe myself. And I'd be out, I'd be at clubs, I'd be in shopping centers, I'd be at parties, and women would come up to me and say, "Excuse me, please could you tell me where you bought your clothes?" And I realized after about the 15th person that, hang on, there's really something in this. And I started to plot how I was going to actually make women of all shapes and sizes feel special. And I started sewing for other women. I said, come to me with pleasure, I'll make. And I started doing whole wardrobes. But I only really went to a 2XL. And that worked for me. For years, that worked for me. And then at the age of 40, I gave up smoking.
Oh, and then your trouble started.
And then my real trouble started, because then I discovered chocolate in a big way. And I piled more weight on. And I also had a major, major breakdown, like a major emotional breakdown, which I had no idea where that had come from. But I think coupled with definitely giving up smoking, so throwing that crutch away, and being very self-conscious about myself and my weight and my inability to address it, because sadly it is an addiction. And
what are you referring to?
The food side, bad eating.
Oh, the comfort eating or bad eating, it depends.
Yeah, it's an addiction. And I get that now, I get that when I'm stressed and when I'm feeling insecure and whatever, then I crave what I shouldn't be eating, what my body doesn't respond well to.
Now, when we look at the world of oversized or large people, I don't know what is the politically correct term to be using here, because we don't want to disrespect anybody.
It's always been known as plus size.
Plus-sized people.
I like to just call it all shapes.
All right, so when we look at the world of plus-sized people, not only do they have to contend with the extra weight that they're carrying around, they don't feel good about themselves because as far as they're concerned, they have no control over this body shape and this body size that they didn't ask for. And they're almost helpless. They don't know what to do. They've tried every diet under the sun. They've probably tried every diet pill on the market, and it just ain't working. So huge self-esteem issues as well.
Yeah. And my thing, so while I was working my way out of this breakdown, I had a lot of moments with my universe where I was like, okay, so can you give me a sign? Like, I need to go out there and I need to take what I've learned from this breakdown and I need to actually manifest it into something. I want to help other people. I want to help women. And I just got this very clear message. Go out and create a space where women of all shapes and sizes will feel honored. Plain and simple. It was as clear as daylight. I'd never wanted to do retail. I was always scared of it. You know, the economy was always wrong and this wasn't right. And I suddenly had this thing, I'm going to go and open a store. And 15 years ago, I took the plunge. I had no retail experience. I knew nothing. I took the plunge, I signed a lease, and I opened a store. And I set out to create a space where no woman would ever be maligned. But when I started the store, I was very proud. I thought, I go to a 2XL. Wow, that's amazing. And suddenly I had girls, really large girls coming in. And the 2XL was like a silly size compared to what these girls needed. So I have my own production facility in Johannesburg as well. And I sat with my team and I said, listen, we need to actually create a true plus size range of clothing. This upsizing from normal sizes is great till a 2XL, but beyond that, you're going to have no shape. So we worked for 2 years. We took me and we measured me from my neck and we literally measured me 5 centimeters apart all the way down. And we plotted that onto a piece of brown paper. And we created our first front, back and sleeves in true plus size, like genuinely, because I was a genuine plus size. And we scaled up and we went to 3XL and then we went to 4XL and then we went to 5, 6 and 7. Wow. And it was...
And there is a market for all of those plus sizes.
Actually, the market for me, the really special market and the one that really has my heart is the 4, 5 and 6XL girls and 7. Because they are the girls that really struggle. And they want to wear fashion. They also want to wear the latest print, the latest... And nobody's doing that for them.
They want to look good and feel good. Because when you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely.
Now, it was a huge plunge. It was a huge risk that you took. How do you go about marketing yourself and target that part of the market, that specific market segment?
I think, so what I did was I put an advert in the Beeld newspaper, just because having grown up in Rustenburg, it was weird. It was like, it was a newspaper I could relate to. And somebody from the Beeld phoned me and said, would you like to place an ad? Placed an ad, and it was one of those small ones at the bottom. I think it's like a 10 by 7. It wasn't anything, and the response was insane. Like I started getting, like through the door, I couldn't believe it. It was... And then the Get It magazine approached me as well. And I started to do 3 adverts in 3 different areas. So West Rand, East Rand, and North. And then I split them and then I did Centurion as well. And that was incredible. And then I did have I had a great interview on 702 that I got a lot of clientele off that. So my frustration around the media, and I understand that it's a fine line of acknowledging somebody who's making clothes for plus sizes, because if the media interview me, are they being seen to be aligning themselves with somebody who's saying it's okay to be overweight because I'm going to make clothes for you? And there's a very different side to that story, because the girls that come to me after a couple of months of feeling better about themselves and going out there and getting compliments, suddenly they're not eating the whole chocolate cake anymore. They're having a slice of chocolate cake.
When you talk about the media, you go back to the 60s and you go back to the days of Twiggy. Look what the media has created, starting from Twiggy right up until this day and age. We have created a generation of anorexic girls and even guys. And we just believe this is, and again, this is the media having created this notion that to be thin, well, I think the saying goes, you can never be too rich or too thin. Yeah. And, you know, that's all, it's stuck in all of our minds that if you're thin, you're beautiful. If you're thin, you've arrived. If you're thin, people take you seriously. We also know that if you go for interviews or business meetings, etc., and if you have a weight problem, sadly, with due respect to our plus-size sisters watching us this morning, sadly, it doesn't matter how highly qualified you might be, you ain't going to get that job. Your slim, sexy sister is going to override you on this one.
It's a very, I mean, we could dive really deep into that side of it, because I'm in my store, I'm on the floor. I've built relationships with women who have huge body issues. And I always say to them when they go, does this make my bum look big? I'm like, your bum is big. It doesn't make it look any bigger. But I am going to make you look so beautiful that nobody's going to notice your bum. And anyway, nobody's looking at your bum because they're all scrolling on Facebook. They're not, you know, we have those, we have those moments where I try so hard to make it comfortable for them, that they understand that somebody's really inside their head and understands what they're going through. But you know, I get crazy things like
okay, hold on, let's go for our first ad break. I'm talking to Hayley Joy. She'll tell us when, how you can find her. She'll give us her website address and lots more details. We're talking about the issue around size, weight, and very especially plus-sized women. The frustration in shopping perhaps, and just how seriously you are taken in the working world today, or even generally, how seriously are you taken? Do people respect you enough just because you have a weight issue? All of that and more coming up right after the ad break. Hayley Joy Weinberg is my guest this morning. We're talking about plus-sized people, particularly plus-sized women, and the fact that they can never seem to find something decent or pretty to wear. Hayley has seen the gap in the market and she has now closed that gap. We're here to talk about how she got to the space where she's at right now. Was it a long haul for you?
It wasn't so much a long haul because I had a very clear vision. So this was what I was going to do. What was quite a shock to me was people would come to the door of the store. They'd put their head in the door and they'd go, is this the store where they make the fat clothes?
Ooh.
And I'd be like, no, we just make clothes, just in all shapes and sizes. And that was the difficult part for me. Or, you know, when I got introduced, if I was at an event and I got introduced and somebody would say, oh yeah, you're the girl who makes the clothes for fat people. Like these, you know, and I'd be like, I just make clothes.
Kind of derogatory.
Yeah, and but I do get it. You know, I'm on both sides. So I hear and I read, I obviously read a lot to keep abreast of it. My thing is, Julie, that for me, I just want that plus size woman to walk in the door and know that somebody cares.
The general public, the thin world, the slim world, kind of almost points a finger at the plus-size person, suggesting that it's your fault. You're not eating properly, you're too lazy, you're not exercising, you don't care about yourself, you don't care about your weight and your body shape, so you deserve the situation you're in. And you probably glut. You don't eat, you glut. So you deserve what you get, and it's your fault that you're marginalized.
So really interesting that you mentioned that, the exercise part. So I've developed an active wear range for plus sizes. And the key to the plus size activewear that we do is that the leggings that we make for gym, for walking, for any form of exercise, Pilates, yoga, I was determined that those leggings were going to stay in the waist. From the minute you put them on, through the whole day, they would stay in the waist. And I achieved it. We threw away a couple of pairs, but I eventually achieved that those leggings, because there is nothing worse as a plus size woman. You go to the gym or you're in a walking club or something, and as you're walking, those legs, and I'm telling you that most of your audience are going to be nodding their heads, because we all get that thing when it starts rolling underneath your tummy, and there you're standing, men, woman, thin, and you now suddenly got to hike these leggings up back over your tummy. I started hiking on a Sunday, and I started taking my clients via a WhatsApp list with me. I would do a video, I'd share it, and I'd take them wherever I was in and around Johannesburg, and I'd show them what I was wearing. And it has been one of my great moments in my career that I have converted girls who were lying on the couch on a Sunday, that they couldn't get off the couch or they wouldn't get off the couch, that now that they know that they can buy a activewear range that is designed for them, that they're now hiking and they're now walking.
And hopefully losing some weight in the process and becoming fit.
But just psychologically that they're actually being proactive in trying to do something. It is an amazing trail that happens when you take that little bit of control. But the fact that I've had the catalyst to give them something that makes them feel, again, honored, but that it genuinely stays in the waist. And they can now walk, run, jump, do whatever. And yes, then they start to look at how they're eating differently. They just start to feel better about themselves all around. So those are the stories that aren't told. You know, the story that's told is, oh, she's a fat woman. Oh, she's got no control. Oh, she must be a glutton. Nobody's looking at it's a long road. You don't just get thin tomorrow. That's what I say to my clients.
And also, you probably didn't you didn't put on the weight overnight either.
Yeah.
And in a lot of situations, there are issues around health. There have been health issues involved in that person's physical shape, size, weight, etc. And all of that has to be addressed as well. Yeah. Something very interesting you said to me is shape versus size. What's that all about?
So for me, because I'm working with all those different shapes every day, I suddenly realized, you know, if you're small on top and very wide on the bottom, that's not a size.
Pear shape.
Yeah, that is a shape. It's a particular shape. If you're very, very big on top, so I have clients who very thick neck, very big top arms, quite busty and very big across the back, and then they've got no hips. That's not a size. That is a shape. And a couple of years ago, about 6 years ago, we changed our labeling system. And we garnered I've actually trademarked a hashtag called a shape, not a size. So we took the sizes off our labels, we created colored labels, and we put a little shape in the corner. So when a lady comes in with her husband, and her husband's sitting on the couch, and we're busy fitting, and I'm calling for a size, instead of saying, please can you bring me that black top in a 5XL, I'm like, can I have the black pin-tuck top in a green, please? He doesn't know what size. I haven't mentioned size. And there's just that ease that happens where she becomes comfortable.
No embarrassment.
No embarrassment. Her husband doesn't need me to be shouting across, well, not shout, but, you know, calling across, can I have that in a 5? Can I have that in a 5? I mean, let's be honest, nobody wants to hear it. And also a lot of clients were cutting labels out. So we came up with a colored label system. It has been absolutely revolutionary for me. I mean, my clients, they can take a jacket off, they can throw the jacket across a chair, and they're not doing that thing where they're making sure that they're hanging the jacket over the chair so nobody can see the label.
All right, now you're talking about day wear, evening wear, etc. What about for these plus-sized women, issues around underwear? I should imagine that's a huge issue as well.
Issue.
Is that a market you're planning on going into, or are they being accommodated? Are there stores that would see to them and help them out?
Yeah, there's a store in the Bryanston Shopping Centre called Lingerie and Leisure, run by a lady called Janine. And then there is the Bra Guru. And the Bra Guru is down the bottom of Jan Smuts Avenue on the right-hand side in the Valley Shopping Centre, and she is stocking an American range of plus-size bras. I mean, it is incredible when you see the difference that good-fitting underwear, but it's very difficult.
Where do we stand as far as South Africa is concerned compared to perhaps the UK, the European countries, even the States? Are we in a unique situation, or are those markets catering for their plus-sized people?
There's a lot happening in our space. There's a label called Omar Tema. No, it's called Plus Fab. It's run by Omar Tema. She's doing plus. It's a very nice plus. There's another one called Lee Bex, who's also doing some very good stuff. There's Donna Claire, there's Renee Taylor at Milady's, Queen's Park does a very nice plus. So there is the issue.
So what's the difference? What does Hayley Joy bring to the market that we're not getting elsewhere?
So I am big on the fact that my clientele, my general clientele, don't want to expose their arms. A lot of the styles are sleeveless. I'm not 100% sure where that motivation comes from in the other brands, but with us, we sleeve everything, and we sleeve everything to below the elbow because we can always shorten it. It is very easy to take a sleeve up to here.
Do you make to specific orders, I'd come to you and say, I don't like anything, nothing appeals to me, on the rails. Here's a design, or here's a sketch of what I want. And that being said then, obviously we're thinking costs. We're also thinking you making garments for the plus size, you're using that much more fabric, so are the garments that much more expensive?
So I don't do specifics. If you come in and you like a style, but you need the neck higher and you need the sleeves longer,
you'll alter it,
and you want it in a different color, we will custom make it like that. And where there's not a huge, there's maybe 100 or 150 Rand surcharge on that. There's not. But for me, it's more about accommodating the general, because those are the ladies that walk in that and also they want to feel like everybody else. They want to just shop. They don't want to be told, oh, there's a rail in the back with 5 garments on it. There should be something. So my commitment in the store is every single rail starts at a small and it ends at a 6XL, and then there's a lot where there is 7. A lot of the 7s we make to order because that needs tweaking where it needs to be longer and that. But my commitment is you will not be maligned. Nobody's ever going to say, oh no, sorry, we don't make that style. There's no style that ever gets passed through production that cannot be styled from a small to a 6. So everything, because my thing is that if that looks good on a small and I can get it to look as good on a 6, and I'm continuously blown away. Continuously, I stand there and I'm like, yes, we've done it. Yeah, we've done it.
All right, so how do people get hold of you? Where are you based?
We're in the Dunkeld West Shopping Centre in Dunkeld. We're at the back of the centre, which is quite a thing because lots of people don't know there's stores at the back of the centre. There's a restaurant next to us called DW11. Lots of people know about DW. And there's a big Four-Nose bakery in the front of the centre. So you just need to get to the back of the centre.
Okay.
We have an online store at hayleyjoy.com. We're obviously on Facebook under Hayley Joy Shop and on Instagram under Hayley Joy Shop. And I run a very successful WhatsApp list. So the ladies are very welcome to email if they'd like to info@hayleyjoy.co.za.
And what's the success of this list? What is it all about?
So the list is, it's evolved. It's incredible. So I shoot videos of myself in the new styles every week. I try and do it every week. And I go out to, at the moment, to about 500 ladies. And those videos never go anywhere else. They are very personal. We talk about all our issues. We talk about arms. We talk about our necks.
So it's a support group.
It's become like a support. It's amazing. It has blown me away. And that's also inspired me in a lot of ways because I get amazed. I ask for feedback. I'm like, ladies, I've designed this top. What do you think? Do you like the color? Do you like the print? And I'm like, please be honest. Like, don't hold back. And I get amazing feedback that I then feed back to the production.
Okay, very quickly, we've almost come to the end of the show. Obviously, like a hairdresser or some such service provider, you get people come to you for plus size clothing, but they also use you as a therapist. So when they talk about their weight problems, etc., do you refer them on in terms of dietitians, nutritionists, doctors, etc.?
It's a difficult one because most plus size women actually don't want to, you know, like they'll say to me, oh, you look like you've lost some weight. And I'm like, yeah, I've lost 1 kilo. How did you do it? And then you can see there's this like recoil. But I do have a couple of people. I have a couple of clients who've been very successful in losing weight. So I do then pass on the people that they've used. I'm like, I send it to you in a WhatsApp, and what you do with it, good luck.
And that's where we leave it. Fascinating. I'm so glad we've had this time to talk about
Thank you, Julie.
plus
I appreciate
size people. Loved the chat. And I'm sure if you're sitting and watching us at home, and if you are a plus size person, you have appreciated this interview, because it now tells you you're not the only one, and there is help and hope out there, and you can end up looking as good as your counterparts. Don't go away. Still to come on this show, we're going to be talking with Amalia, or rather the Amalia story, Amalia Adams story, and we'll be wrapping up by talking with Nikki Bush about future-proofing your children for the 2020s. Welcome back. We're now going to share with you the Amalia Adams story. In studio with us is Amalia in a very specialized pram. Her mom and dad, Shakira and Tahir Adams. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Okay, Amalia was born on the 22nd of June 2017, diagnosed with Dandy-Walker syndrome. Very rare syndrome indeed, and the parents are here to create awareness about this condition. And if you find yourself with a loved one in this situation, then these are the people to reach out to. They've done lots and lots of research, and they can give you all or any information you require. Lovely to have you guys in here, and of course you've heard the introduction. You want to share your story with the world, and where and if you can assist other parents in a similar situation as yourself, you will be more than willing to do so. Let's start off. Amalia is your first baby. She is 2 years old and she is suffering from Dandy-Walker syndrome. What was it like for you, Shakira, when she was born? Did you realize there was something wrong with your baby?
I actually didn't. We only realized at a week old. We were concerned, went to hospital, but at the age of 3 months, she had this full-on seizure, and we went to hospital, and that's when they started doing a CT scan, and then she was diagnosed with hydrocephalus and agenesis of the corpus callosum. So, hydrocephalus is water on her brain. Agenesis of the corpus callosum is the...
It's all part of this condition, the syndrome, is it not?
Yes. Only after, like when she was 7 months, they actually diagnosed her with the syndrome, because it's a whole lot of different diagnoses that leads to one syndrome. And that's, yeah, that's a story from the beginning.
How did you deal with the news, knowing, probably not even knowing what the condition is all about, yes, but just knowing that your child has a serious condition and you're probably going to be living with it for the rest of her life? Let's go to Dad. Shock, horror, sadness, anger?
Okay, well, firstly, it was a shock, and obviously the first thing that came to my mind was to say shukr to the Almighty. He's given us Amalia.
Alhamdulillah.
I think for us what we seen was like, it's a test for us from Allah to see how we would, deal with the situation, or cope with the situation. And so far, alhamdulillah, she's been the light of our life. I mean, everything she does, I mean, she just makes it easy for us. I mean, like, I'll be feeling down or sad, or Mom will be feeling down or sad, and she'll be okay, and she'll start laughing or smiling for a stupid little thing, and it just makes us okay. So
How very humbling. I mean, you know, we all have problems and we think ours is the biggest or the worst problem going. And hearing the two of you speak gives, I think, hope to me and to the whole world out there. But of course, initially it was shock, probably questions about what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong?
Definitely.
Did I eat or do the wrong thing during my pregnancy? But it's nothing of that at all. What exactly is Dandy-Walker syndrome?
Okay, so Dandy-Walker syndrome, it is a rare malformation of the brain. So what happens is it affects the cerebellum and the first ventricle. So the cerebellum controls your motor movements, the sitting, the walking, the talking, the eyesight, and that's how she has the cortical vision impairment diagnosis as well. So that is Dandy-Walker syndrome. And then with the other diagnosis that falls under it, obviously is the hydrocephalus, and then the agenesis of the corpus callosum. And then what comes with it as well is the low muscle tone, the scoliosis. The seizures that she has is called infantile spasms, which only affects young children under the age of 4 years old.
So does that mean that after she reaches 4, she won't be having seizures any longer?
So what they say is at the age of 4, they will actually do what they call is an EEG, plugs onto the head to monitor her seizures. So if she doesn't have seizures, inshallah, she will be okay, or she will be epileptic for the rest of her life. So that diagnosis will only come when she's a bit older.
If she stops having seizures at the age of 4, does that then indicate to you that she's on a steady, slow road to recovery, inshallah?
Inshallah.
So you're very hopeful.
We are very, we make dua.
Ameen, ameen, thumma ameen. It's a full-time job, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Talk to us about how you deal with her, how you cope with her from day to day.
Okay, so our day is, it's therapy. Monday to Friday, she has to be fed. She actually has a G-tube peg. It's a plug that is in her stomach, and I have to feed her through her syringe.
Doesn't it cause her discomfort, and doesn't she cry or anything when you're feeding her?
No, she actually, she feels, she laughs about it. She
Really?
sits there and she feels me giving her food, and then she'll smile.
She's so used to it.
Yes,
it's part of her life.
Yes, so now she's actually used to it. In the beginning, she was confused because it was, I'm crying for food and then I'm full all of a sudden. So we had to get her used to it. We still do feed her in her mouth. We'll puree food, but if she doesn't swallow it, and then we will finish it into her stomach. And then, yeah, she has her 5 therapies a week, which is her neurotherapy, her speech therapy, her eye therapy, her hydrotherapy, and her occupational therapy. So we plan that within the week, and then...
She's very young. She's only 2 years old,
Yes.
albeit a very big 2-year-old.
Yes.
She looks 4 sitting in that pram, but you have indicated it's due to all the meds that she's on.
Yes, she was on steroids for her seizures.
So it's the steroids that's
yes.
made her so big. How does she respond to all of the therapies, and for how long does the therapy last?
So she
And
has...
just explain each therapy, the role of each therapy.
Okay, so what Amalia has a special sensory integration. So what happens is if she doesn't like something, she will sleep if she doesn't want to do something. So what we learned with her is we have to have therapy at home so she's more comfortable. But if we go to a therapy, she will sleep. So luckily, we actually got a speech therapist that comes to the house. The speech therapist is it's helping her with her feeding, communication, trying to, like, they'll play games with her where she will touch something and react to it. So that's how we
an improvement.
Yes, we are. She's actually doing a lot now. After the feeding peg was put in, she's actually more with her therapy. She wants to do more. Then she has her eye therapy. They're teaching her different colors, putting faces, showing her shapes, and
she responds
to it. And then it's neurotherapy. That is with her muscles. So they're teaching her to sit, they're teaching her to roll over, they're strengthening her muscles, her core, trying to get more head control. And then with the occupational therapy, she deals with her sensory integration because she's very sensitive to touch, to sound, to light sometimes. So she gets...
If she's oversensitive to all of that, how does she respond? Does she fuss a lot or cry?
She's very uncomfortable in her place.
So you know that something's not right, and you need to then try and settle her down.
Yes. So yeah, and then she has the hydrotherapy as well. And then the hydrotherapy is neurotherapy in water. She loves the water. It helps with her sensory as well. So she gets that on a Friday because then afterwards she gets a massage, and then the weekend she's free to be a baby.
So what happens to her on the weekend? Because the entire week is busy with therapy. Yes. Let's see what's Dad's role here, because it sounds to me like you have a full-time job Monday to Friday. You're obviously working. So what part do you play in supporting your wife in helping Amalia get better, inshallah?
Okay, so basically on a regular day, I'd come home, for example, and I'd start playing with Amalia. After that, obviously, we have to prepare to get bathed and things like that. We do ourselves do therapeutic stuff at home. We have a standing frame for her, and we put her in the standing frame, or we have casts for her legs.
And I'm looking at her now. I've mentioned this twice already. I'm going to mention it again. Okay. She's almost as big as a 4 or 5 year old, so she must be pretty heavy, which means you've got to assist Shakira with possibly putting her in and out of the water, putting her to bed, etc.
No, especially with movements and transportation and stuff, I have to be there. At the moment, the pram has assisted us a lot, especially Shakira, because to carry her up and down is quite tiring for her.
It's a specialized pram, is it not? Tell us about it.
So this pram
basically... What is so special about it, and whom has it come from?
Okay, the pram comes from CE Mobility. The pram can basically take up to about 70 kgs. And as you can see there by the head, it has the two things to keep your head straight, and on the sides as well. Like we said, she has scoliosis, so she has the curvature of the spine. So there's things to keep her back straight as well. And so on the sides to keep her hips straight, so that we can get all the, how do I say, the weight into the hips and to the correct places that it should be. For example, this is good for the hips. The standing frame would be good for the legs to get the weight into the feet. So it's a therapeutic item as well.
Equipment at home as well to assist her, assistive devices. How long is she going to be using this pram? There's going to be a point where she's going to outgrow it.
Yes, so at 70 kgs. So this pram also can turn into a wheelchair as well. Okay. So if she does need a wheelchair in the future, then we can use this and turn it into a wheelchair. But obviously it only lasts until she's 70 kgs.
And what does she weigh now?
She's 15.5.
Okay, still a long way to go, inshallah, and hopefully during that time she'll make amazing request. We're going to go for an ad break, and inshallah thereafter your dad, Yasin Sali, will be joining us to talk to us about the support structure that's in place. Aspirations for Amalia is what we're talking about. Amalia Adams is 2 years old. They live in Florida on the West Strand, and this family is here to share their story with us, to give us hope, whatever the challenges are in our lives. If we see and hear their story, alhamdulillah, we'll be able to move forward in our own little world with our own little issues as well. Don't go away. We'll be back with you in a minute or two. Welcome back. We have Yasin Sali, who is the grandfather of Amalia and, of course, the Adam family, sharing their story on their daughter and granddaughter's condition, and it is Dandy Walker syndrome and a whole host of other issues that impacts on this little girl's upbringing. Yasin, salamu alaikum, welcome to the program. Your granddaughter's 2 years old, you have a whole host of other grandchildren at home. But how shocking was it to know that Amalia was born with Dandy Walker syndrome? And did you imagine that there's going to be this lifelong journey ahead of you in supporting your family with a child with this condition?
Of course, no one's really prepared for something like this. At first, in the first 3 months of Amalia's life, we didn't expect to see what the future would hold. We just started noticing these little setbacks of her, and finding out this condition. Yes, it was heartbreaking, disappointing. We were going through the motions. We all had a good cry about it, but we knew that we had to prepare, because this is definitely a lifelong journey.
So what did you do in preparation? I should imagine lots of research.
Absolutely. Look, initially when it's not at your doorstep, you look at it from a distance.
And you're not interested really.
You sympathize, you feel for those people, but you never think about it until it knocks on your door.
Absolutely.
And when this happened, I think within the first week or so, the entire family had probably exhausted the internet with trying to find information of what we could possibly be facing. We all knew we had to be that support for Shakra and Tahir. Being so young, they had to have some support structure, because it's new to them as well.
Absolutely.
And myself, I really tried to investigate as much as I could, because I knew that Shakra was a medic at the time. I knew that it's the end of that. She's going to have to become a full-time mother now. But also not having the experience of a Dandy Walker syndrome child, we couldn't find any information besides the internet.
And of course, it's a very rare condition. It is said that only 1 in 25,000 children present with this condition.
I think
that's in the States.
It's 1 in 2,500.
Okay. In South Africa?
In South Africa, I think it was.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So yes, we were looking for other kids that were going through this. We found it extremely difficult. Most of the information we were getting was coming from the States, on how easy it is for Dandy Walker syndrome children to get the medical support, the information,
in
and
the States, but not in South Africa.
Not in South Africa. How we then started meeting other parents that are dealing with neurological issues with their children.
Not necessarily Dandy Walker. Have you started a support group? Or are you with a support group?
I wouldn't say we have started a support group. Shakra, I'd say we are blessed to have such an awesome family.
Alhamdulillah.
That stands by us and supports us. They're all passionate about Amalia's plight. That is hence the awareness campaign that we have started.
Tell us about it. It's called Aspirations for Amalia.
Aspirations for Amalia. The idea is that if Allah put us in a situation like this now, after all these years, to be in a situation to assist other less fortunate children and families from what we are trying to do and creating that awareness, and alhamdulillah, we're trying to reach out to these families and say, join us. Let's get this out there. Perhaps our government, our medical aids will all hear about us and try to assist us, because financially it's crazy. We have met other parents that are struggling. They're really struggling. And I think Shakra has really come to the party in the sense of educating herself with this. And she's reaching out to those mothers now and saying, don't worry, we've been there. We also started out, we were also lost, but we've educated ourselves, so we want to help.
It's a lot of hard work and commitment, and also financially can be draining. Alhamdulillah, you guys are, you don't go to a state hospital. I presume there's medical aid that's helping cover all of these costs. Do you know if state hospitals are able to deal with a child with Dandy Walker?
Yes, there are departments in the state hospitals that will address these issues. Remember, Dandy Walker syndrome, nobody really knows that word. The kids are all, you'll find kids that has cerebral palsy, you'll find kids with autism, so there's different neurological...
Not the entire Dandy Walker.
Correct. But yes, I truly believe that there are departments and doctors that can assist us. Okay, it's just dealt with differently. Remember, our state hospitals, it's a kind of a mass production.
Overburdened.
Absolutely. So yes, we do have medical aid.
Right.
And then
so shukr for that.
Shukr for that. The requirements for us alone with Amalia, like you had mentioned earlier, the devices we had to get, etc. There was organizations out there, especially the World Memin organization, that was so wonderful and so kind to have assisted us with the devices that costs hundreds of thousands of rands. This stroller that you see here, the standing frame that Tahir has spoken about, and of course we did get ourselves a little chair that we can put in the bath. As you say, Amalia's quite big and heavy.
And I'm sure if you reach out to the World Memin Foundation or any other foundation, they'll be more than willing to assist, because it's a genuine case and it's a genuine need. But that being said, you know, Allah does not give you a burden greater than you can bear, and He knows that you have the strength, and you're going to touch other people's lives in a positive way with your story. However, there must be certain challenges that stand out for you. What were those in this journey up to now, and how did you guys as a family come together and try and overcome?
Okay, yes, great challenges. Yes, we are dealing with one little child. There are so many kids out there. We know what we are dealing with, and we are aware of the challenges, and we want to reach out to the other families so that we can assist where we can. We might not have money, but we might have knowledge or assistance, etc., and support
and
there.
Just a shoulder to cry on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we want to create, you know what, one thing that I found out is that with all these challenges is the mothers are really going through the worst of it. You know, they stop their lives and they just take on their kids' plights selflessly.
How are you supporting your daughter? She's the mother of this child. She's the mother of Amalia.
Of course. Look, Alhamdulillah, Shakra has Tahir, that is her main support there, especially moving her around, bathing her, making sure she's fed, etc. As a family, what we've come together, this is my daughter. Financially, I got to look out anything that I can assist with. We have medical bills that's always been that we have got to take care of.
The gaps that you've got to close.
Shakira cannot work. She wants to, but she cannot. It's a full-time job. So Tahir assists me to he works with me.
He helps you run the business.
So that we could make the money. The bills at the end of the month it's quite challenging.
Okay, we've almost come to the end of the show. We've got about a minute and a half left. How do people get hold of you? Do you have a website? And very quickly, I was quite fascinated. It's quite a coincidence that your page is called Aspirations for Amalia.
Yes.
And you've called her Amalia. Didn't know that she has this condition.
Coincidental.
Please speak to us about that.
That was extremely coincidental. The name Amalia means aspirations, and it seemed fitting for us to actually start this awareness thing based on calling it Aspirations for Amalia. So we are hoping that Amalia, her plight is going to be opening doors for so many other people out there, inshallah. And I must put it out there that yes, we are not the solution to your problems, but we want to assist, and we hope that you assist us in return. We have a website called aspirationsforamalia.org. It's the number 4, aspirationsforamalia.org. Go to a page, look at her journey, look at the information we've put up there. We have a toll-free number, semi-toll-free number, 0860-111-5690. All that information is on there. We've created a donation page where we can perhaps drive this. Like I say, everything is on Amalia's page. She can be followed on Facebook. She has an Instagram page. And inshallah.
Ameen, Ameen, Thumma Ameen. Finally, what does her medical team have to say about the progress she's made thus far? Shakira.
They're actually quite happy with the progress because she's getting stronger, because she's eating better, she has more energy, she's not sleeping as much. So they're actually quite happy with her. She's actually 3 months seizure free as well. So they actually extremely impressed. The medication's working, and she wants to do a lot. She's driven to do.
She responds a lot.
Yes.
It's just that for now her milestones are way behind.
Yes,
but inshallah she'll get there as well. In closing, what do you want to say to our viewers?
Shukran so much for listening to us. I hope that you guys will show some love to my little girl.
And we certainly will.
Shukran to you.
Yasin?
Shukran for having us here and for letting us tell our story. And I hope this is the beginning of some wonderful things with the help of the communities, the ummah out there, and of course Allah that will guide us and give us that guidance to help.
Inshallah, Ameen. I'll love our du'as and support with you as a family all the way, inshallah. And of course, you're going to get a lot of hits on your pages and lots of support, inshallah. Yasin Salih, Shakira Adam, and little Amalia, who is now fast asleep. Allah be with you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
And there you have it, the aspirations for Amalia, the Amalia Adam story. Still to come, Nikki Bush to talk about her new book, Future Proofing Your Child for the 2020s and beyond. And welcome back to the final segment of the show this morning. My favorite person on the show, Nikki Bush. She is a motivational speaker. She appears regularly on Radio 702, appears regularly on this show as well, Let's Talk. She's an authoress and she's also a parenting expert. This time around, she's here to talk about her new book, and it's called Future Proof Your Child for the 2020s and beyond. Morning, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Julie.
Why future-proof again? I mean, I know we spoke a couple of years ago with Future-Proof Your Child. Is that?
Yes, it was the original copy, the original edition was called Future-Proof Your Child, Parenting the Wired Generation. And that really focused, Julie, on the coming change. So in 2008, which is 10 years ago, this is the 10th anniversary celebratory edition, revised and updated. 60% of this book is a rewrite from the original because so much has changed. So at that point in 2008, we as parents and educators were standing on the beach, and it was like there was a tsunami taking place. When a tsunami is happening, the water leaves the beach. There's no water on the beach, and it's quite strange. And everybody was kind of going, what's going on? We don't understand this. So we wrote the first book to create an understanding about the possibilities of what might be happening. Why has that water left the beach? And we talked about a tsunami wave building in the background, which consisted of things like biotechnology, nanotechnology, space travel, stem cell research, all sorts of things that were sitting in the research and development laboratories of the world. Also think 2007 was the first year in which we got the smartphone. We think we've had them forever, but it's only been 11 years. Right. Okay. So what we were talking about is that tsunami of change that was coming. In the past 10 years, you can actually take the original book and you can take a pen and you can start ticking in the book all the possibilities and probabilities we spoke about. have happened or are happening in process. So the new book is called Future-Proof Your Child for the 2020s and Beyond, How to Parent in Disruptive Times, because now we talk about the magnitude of disruption. The changes happen, the building blocks are there. Now we're having to live with it, and that is a totally different story.
You're a parent yourself, you've got young adults. Going back to when they were growing up and now in the 21st century, in this fourth industrial revolution,
yes,
in very disruptive times, as you say, how differently do you think we are doing things? Because we're often told, my sister-in-law and I often laugh about it, is that when we were growing up, we said we never parent our children as our parents, as our mothers are parenting us. And yet we go on doing same old, same old, same old. If we carry on doing same old, how much of damage are we doing to our children?
Interestingly, Julie, there are parts of parenting and child development that haven't changed. And maybe that's where we need to start this conversation, is around the framework that we provide in the book. So the book is built around...
Do you want to hold it up higher to the camera?
Around this
there
framework.
You go. You're right.
Okay. The building blocks to future-proofing your child. And we honestly do believe that we need to be digging deep and wide foundations in the early years. So this is where we start saying, you know, we have to understand the context of change. And that is why we've written the book, because we sketch out the kind of jobs that they will be in the future, the kinds of trends that are changing and reshaping the world. But the things that haven't changed are how our children learn. That hasn't changed. Children still need family. So at the bottom here is family. That is the widest part of our triangle. And we really need to invest heavily. If our children are fortunate enough to have family, we need to invest heavily, because family is the first team. Within the we discover the me. Family is the values creator in society today, because we can't look to governments. We can barely even look to religions these days, because nothing is perfect anymore. It's no longer a black and white world. Many, many shades of grey. And every family needs to choose their shade of grey.
Absolutely.
And family provides that security and that stability for children to cope with a very uncertain world. So we talk about the fact that we shouldn't be preparing the path for the child. We have to be preparing the child for the path, which is why we talk about the X factors for success, which we're going to get into just now. But I want to take you on to the second level.
Exactly.
Okay, which is curiosity and learning, which is very different to school. Every child is born curious. Every child is born a natural learner. They are not born an empty vessel. So when we get this child, you know, and we have to mourn the perfect child, let me tell you, we don't get the child we thought we were going to get. We often get a very different child.
Well, that is why when they grow up, they tell us, I didn't ask to be born.
Exactly. So while we're talking about, mourning the perfect child, when we are new parents, we have this clear picture, this idea of the child we're going to get and how we're going to raise them and the world they're going into.
And that is the perfect child.
And also, we have a picture in our mind. So one of the key messages in Future-Proof Your Child for the 2020s and beyond is that we need to have a very flexible mind. Our children's version of success and happiness is going to look very different to ours, because the world is changing so dramatically, because the opportunities and possibilities are going to be so different. So we have to be flexible, and we have to teach them to be flexible and adaptable as well. If we are looking at the world very fearfully, all this change very fearfully, we're not going to be helping our children to embrace what's coming. We'll be running from that tsunami, or we'll be fighting it. When you fight a tsunami wave, you drown. You have to flow with the wave to survive. You've got to go with
the tide, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So curiosity is, we need our kids to be curious.
What do we do? You know, there are parents who sometimes tire of a curious child and not now, or, they try and shut them up.
Why?
Yes. How do you, without getting exhausted and, without giving them the wrong answers or, chasing them off, how best do you address that situation?
So when you have a talking child, and from the age of 3, they start asking a lot of questions. And the more they master language, the more questions they will start to ask. And when they get to around 5, 6 and upwards, when they ask you a question, you can turn around to them and say, what do you think?
Ooh.
You don't always have to.
At age 4 or 5?
From about 5. From about 5 onwards. From 3, they don't have that problem-solving, thinking, reasoning mind. They're looking for answers. But they look for answers largely through self-discovery, and that's what we need to encourage.
So when you throw that at them, what do you think? Depending on their response, you can then hook in and steer them on the right path.
Absolutely. So you start off with what they think, and then you can carry on with, well, have you thought of that? Or what about this? Or I love the way you think. How about this?
Wow.
So you actually want to stimulate open-ended conversation, not closed conversation, because it is a very scary thing for children to have to sit down with you and have the talk.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's the talk about the birds and the bees and sexuality education, or whether it's the talk about digital safety, or whether it's the talk about, Mummy, Daddy, what must I do? What must I be when I grow up? Because at some point in every child's life, they get a sense of the future, that they're going to become something or somebody one day. And it starts in that dress-up area, the fantasy play area in nursery school, where they can dress up as doctors and nurses and firemen, and they can be the mummy, they can be the daddy, and all those things. But at some point, it becomes more than that. And I spend quite a lot of time interacting with learners at schools, and I'm doing a lot of subject choice evenings with the grade 9 learners and their parents. It's a scary place for parents and young people to be, because the children are not ready to make a career decision. They are not in that space yet. They've got to now choose their subjects, which are going to then impact on what they can and cannot do in the future. The parents are running scared because they've got a sense that things are changing.
And are they steering the children in the right direction, or are the kids making the right choices as far as their future's concerned?
Extremely scary, frightening place to be at the moment.
So let's go to tier 4.
Yes. So let's just skip to, let's go straight on to X factors.
Now, X factors, I'm very, very interested in that, because that chapter 5 in your book covers developing the X factor for success in our children.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Right. So with the X factors for success, we talk about the fact that there are 5 X factors, 5 key X factors, and these X factors have not changed between the 2 editions of the books. We hold firm that these are the things that will help our children be employable one day and to survive and thrive through the change. The first one is creativity, innovation, and thinking outside the box. So we need children to challenge conventions. They are, after all, the generation who will save the world.
Absolutely.
They are going to have to come up with solutions that we haven't found yet, whether it be because we don't have enough arable land on the planet to feed our growing, burgeoning population. They're the ones who are going to have to come up with cures for cancer and AIDS, which we haven't managed to do yet.
Or even the common cold, for that matter.
Well, if you look at the millennials, exactly, look at the millennials, they're driving this veganism, meat-free society. There are companies being listed on the stock exchange in the US producing meat substitutes starting at around $45 a share, and within a couple of months they're at $250 a share. And that just shows you how our mindsets are starting to think about how are we going to save ourselves and how are we going to save our planet.
Nikki, I think we're going to be running out of time, so do you want to touch on the other 4 X factors very quickly before we go to trends? And we've spoken about Wake Up, the World Has Changed.
Yes. So the second X factor for success is loving learning for your whole life. If our children are going to work for at least 80 years out of the 120 they will live, That's a long time to work.
Takes my breath away.
1 degree, 1 qualification is not going to do it. So they've got to love learning for their whole lives and keep upskilling themselves. Then we have resilience, and resilience is about being able to bounce back, being able to cope with a world that is not perfect. Life does not unfold in a straight line. How is your child going to cope with that? So resilience is very, very important.
I'm just wondering, what sort of example can you give us as far as trying to instill resilience. Yeah, into
so
tough one.
Okay, no, not so tough, really. It's about it for a small child. Okay, a normal common household situation. They knock over a glass of milk. The milk spills, the glass breaks. Are we going to turn around and go, you bad child,
and silly,
punish them, or you silly child? Or are we going to teach them how to be resourceful and resilient, to go and get a cloth from the kitchen, to pick up the glass very carefully? If they're very little, you'll pick up the glass and show them how, and you will allow them to help with the cleanup, that they can resolve their own problems.
All right. In a lot of situations, you would get a parent or an older sibling calling you clumsy or stupid or silly or some such thing. What type of language, what is it that you say to them? You are teaching them resilience. Yeah. Beautiful example you've given. But what's the language you use here?
Oops. Oh dear. What can we do to fix this?
Okay.
Okay.
We've had an accident.
We need children who have fantastic problem-solving ability, who can bounce back, who have critical thinking ability. So use normal, everyday situations to instill these in our children, these X factors. And then we have being part of a team, whether you are in a face-to-face situation and family is your first team, or in a virtual situation, you are always going to be part of a team, because we do not travel through life alone. And then the final one is knowing yourself really well. And in the book, we have a fantastic section called Building Your Talent Profile. It's not the old CV. It is a living, warm document that has to be kept very hot.
And who's it what age group is this targeted at?
We start this at the age of 8.
Okay.
You can play what we call the mirror game, and we unpack the whole mirror game in the book. Your child creates a booklet about who they are.
Wow.
And that then it then morphs into the talent profile as they get older. In the future world of work, who you are is going to be far more important than what you do or what you sell, because what you do and what you sell is going to be changing constantly. Therefore, the importance of those 5 X factors.
So when you talk about who you are, know who you are, you're talking about EQ?
We're talking about that core essence of who you are. If we have time, I can give you a very interesting example. So I bumped into...
We've got 2 minutes to wrap up, unfortunately.
I bumped into a young girl, age 27, called Lisa, at a wedding a few years ago. And we got into chatting about what does she do. And she was working for one of the banks, and she was building financial products. And I dug a little deeper because I was trying to find out the essence, who is this girl? And I said, what did you study? She said, architecture. I said, good grief. She said, but I actually wanted to be a fashion designer. But my parents thought that was not a profession. So I studied architecture. Now I'm in the bank. And yeah, she was relatively happy. I bumped into her again recently, like about 4 or 5 years later. She's now working on the Time Bank, which is Patrice Motsepi's bank, and she's helping to build that bank. She is on fire. Ooh. Now, what we've established about Lisa is that the essence of Lisa is that she is a designer and a builder, and it doesn't matter whether she is designing clothing or whether she is designing financial products or buildings. That makes her happy. So she's now building the bank, and she says she is designing clothes on the side as a side hustle. She is as happy as can be.
Nikki, sadly we've run out of time. Who should be reading this book, and what are they going to get out of this book?
Right, so any parent, grandparent, educator, school principal, anybody who is raising the next generation of talent needs to be reading this book. It scopes the trends that are shaping the world of work, declining industries, rising industries, and what you need to do at home, how children learn, and the essence of who your child is, how to bring that to the fore, and creating what we call brand family, because your family is basically the crucible, the container for this child, and we give them the launch pad into the future. Family is where hope lives today.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thank you indeed for being in with us.
Great pleasure.
The gorgeous Nikki Bush talking about her new book, which is called, obviously, Future Proof Your Child for the 2020s and Beyond. A must-have book. You've got to go out and get it. It is available at all bookstores, and I don't think you'll be sorry. It's also a book that you can pass down and around in family circles. That's it for the show. Thank you for your company. Till the next time, as always, take care on the roads, and it is Khudafiz from me, Julie Alli.
يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا هلا يا